another episode of Mind of the Spectre. We'd like to welcome you back to our secret location here in the depths of Grey, Maine. Today I have with me our team of brothers. We have Spectre Senence on my left and the newest member of our team, Spectre FedSen, on the right. Which Spectre FedSen, you're actually coming into the Spectre Studio scenario in a new capacity for us, where we haven't really done much in the realm of video game production or filming so far. But Spectre FedSen is actually going to be taking over our reviews of the video game scenarios and the different videos there, with his own segment called Fragging the Game. So tell us a little bit about what you got in the starter box scenario for your video series.
Yeah, so I'm basically going to look at just whatever video game comes across, and the whole idea behind it is just a quick summary of the game. I'm not one of the people out there that's a fan of the long drawn out talk about the entire game so you don't even have to play the game because you know how it's going to end. I don't like seeing that, so with Fragging the Game, it'll be a real short, this is the game, this is the basic scenario, and then what do you go with it? Do you buy it? Do you rent it? Do you pass on it completely? And keep it at that. So if it's a game that's really good, I'll give you enough info about it, on why it's good, but you'll have to get all the details yourself. And I'll expand it from there. It won't be just video games. I'll do some reviews of tabletop games, casual games, things of that nature as well. So.
All right. And you developed your own rating system for these games. Tell us about how you rate your games, what the rating system is.
Well, that's probably my military background. I figured 4 or 5 grenades, 5 out of 5 grenades, lobbing grenades, it's the whole fragging the game. And of course, for any game that gets 1 grenade, well, that's just a worthless game, don't even bother with it.
Is it a grenade or a bomb?
That would be a bomb, I guess. It would even be a more in-depth frag at that point.
So 1 grenade, not even worth lobbing your grenade at the target.
Yeah, save your grenade.
Yeah.
You know, just jump on it and put yourself out of your misery.
Basically, as Captain America, you diving on that grenade for saving us for ever having to play that game.
Exactly.
And five grenades is right away, big target.
Stop watching the video and go out and buy the game. Right.
All right. So that's our new rating system for our game reviews. The grenade, lob your grenade to the games. And so Spectre FedSen is going to be really putting forth a lot of video content for us, and we're looking forward to actually some video game reviews from an up-and-coming con if we can get to it. More on that in the future. But also Spectre Senence, in your starter box, you've got some things going on right now that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, as you can see, we're in our secret location, the Bat Cave. Apparently here, we have little minions that are just involved in everything. But yeah, I'll show you some of the stuff that we're working on here.
All right, and that is what we consider in the starter box for this series.
All right, so pause it from here. Get rid of the minion.
Oh,
what are you doing?
I can't Photoshop you out. I don't know how to do that yet.
Starter box.
Alright, Spectre Senence here. I basically want to show you a little bit of what's going on in my starter box little world. I have accomplished painting up the Horde's starter battle box set. So I have my Legion Forever Blight right here. I've added a couple of models to the basic starter box set. So we have Lilith, we have the Blighted Ogrins, and the Shredders right here in the back with the Carnivian. But I have added Typhoon to this mix, and right back there also a Shepherd. So this is all set there. I'll be showing you more or less pics of what I've done for Jacob's Spectre Foreman's Circle of Ouroboros. But that's basically what I've done. Been painting all this time during the holidays, and I've got this accomplished. Now on to back to Dark Eldar for 40k, where I have Incubi and some witches to add into my mix. Alright, that's what I got. Here is the Circle of Ouroboros models I painted. The Morvana fig is an addition. It was Spectre Foreman's Christmas present. Here is his Warp Alpha guys. And coming up here is Kayla. Sorry, bad pick, but Spectre Foreman had to rush one to me, okay?
Messaging on the com.
All right, so our next segment for this series of Mind of the Spectre is what we call On the Comm. Rumors, news, things going on in the community that we like to keep everybody apprised of. The big thing right now that is going around our community is cheese. So you want some wine to go with that cheese. We've got some new things coming out and some new rules that are really making a splash, and everybody's seeing all the different ways that they can be broken. So we've been looking at the codexes, we've been looking at the new 6th edition rule set, and everybody's talking about cheese. That level of rules that really takes it beyond the point of gameplay, where everybody that is really ultra competitive can really mess with it and make it an issue, so that it's really kind of turns into non-fun for other players on the table, especially in like the hobby aspect, who are playing fluff versus rules or competitive play. So cheese really is defined as that level of rule that really takes it above and beyond, where you can really push it to the point that it's not unstoppable, but there's really no way to deal with it on the table. All right. The other thing that cheese really is running into now, is especially in the 6th edition community, is the new codex is coming out. The Chaos Codex, I don't think anyone is really complaining too much about cheese as far as the codex goes.
Until people really started having like 3 Helldrakes.
Certainly. And my opinion of cheese is, if it's in a rule book, it's not really cheese. It turns into cheese when people really overuse it or overabuse it, I think, is the fine line between cheese and rules. The other thing that a lot of people are really complaining about now is the allies option. A lot of people are taking allies just for the ability to really maximize and really push over the top some of the combinations that are out there. Some of the new facts have kind of toned some of those down a little bit, but not too much. The Psyker Battle Squad attachment to any other army is really one of the ones that's pushing out there as a thing that people are really kind of going over the top with.
Yeah, and Eldrad.
Eldrad, adding him into other units to really give other codexes the psychic ability that they lack.
The Vendetta to get the Air Force that you basically other codexes don't have at this stage.
Certainly adding in the attachment on Vendetta.
Yeah.
So getting that Air Force ability, especially with a really powerful plane like that,
Yep.
not even a weak plane, but a very powerful one.
Pop one cheap.
And then of course the new Codex Dark Angels just came out. There is a huge discussion going on right now that rolling around as far as the cheese kind of aspect goes, with the new standard of destruction. It's a standard that you can get for one of your units that gives the bolt gun weapons an extra rule set or stat line, making them a salvo weapon 2/4. And right now, a lot of conjecture on what the definition of bolt gun is. In the base rule book, bolt gun is a category of weapons, listing several different weapons like bolt pistols, bolt guns, storm bolters, those kinds of things. The contention there is it the category listed as bolt guns in the base rule book, or is it the specific weapon entry bolt gun? So we're talking about cheese. That's one of the big ones right now. There's huge discussions going on all over the internet about what is what. And a lot of people are proponents of the whole bolt gun category in the rule book. So turning even like the Hurricane Storm Bolters on a Land Raider into salvo 2/4 weapons, which does reduce the range of the weapons, but makes them, if they stand still, 4 times as many shots or twice as many shots as the regular shooting of the weapon. So taking it from a rapid fire 2 weapon to a stand and shoot 4 weapon. So a Hurricane Bolter would effectively have 12 shots as opposed to 6. Right. So definitely a big issue there. So that's kind of what we're looking at: cheese versus non-cheese. What do you consider cheese, or really how does cheese come into play in your games?
Well, for me, I mean, a lot of it I'm pretty much like you. I'm used to. When you've been playing this edition long enough, like since 2nd, 3rd edition, you ran into people bought what they wanted. Like you said, it was in the codex, so you faced what people bought. You didn't have a choice, especially in tournaments. There really wasn't a thing as, you know, the comp system. I think comp system is pretty new, so that kind of elements to adding more to people dealing with cheese / net list, whatever you want to call it. And that's really where people are trying to modify how people get to play their armies, depending on this comp list versus, you know, what they see is considered cheese.
And what Spectre Senence means by comp list is a lot of the tournaments, at least locally, have taken a page out of other tournaments playbooks, and they're called composition lists. meaning that they're modifying the build of armies across the board to try to limit the number of combinations or things that can really be played over the top. So that the composition score, usually on a scale providing a bonus score to your victory points for the games, for your overall score of the tournament, can put you over the top or reduce your number of points that you get by giving you a smaller composition score than your other opponents if they choose to not follow the army builds to the hobby event of the game. Now this is a real attempt to try to limit cheese by making sure that everybody is filling out their armies in a hobby-oriented way, not tripling up on selections or even doubling up in some cases, limiting the number of vehicles, a number of different ways to really kind of have people build themed armies as opposed to competitive mono builds where everybody's just stacking all their points on one item or just a minimum of 2, and not really kind of spreading out through the different options in their codexes. So composition's really coming into play in the hobby situation, in the hobby tournaments, and so far we've seen a really good result where a lot of better gamesmanship has been really seen in the tournaments.
Well, for for Games Workshop, it's almost a forced hand because you have to deal with the fact that the codexes are dated. When you're talking about a codex that's been 5-6 years old, what are you going to do with the codex that just came out new? So one of the biggest issues of that is like the flyers. Codexes don't even have the flyers because that was not in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition, segment of the game at all. And there are already the later codexes. When you look at the Dark Eldar and Grey Knights, their flyers were incorporated with a thought process coming out. And now, of course, the Dark Angels came out, and smack dab, you have 2 flyers that you can choose from, having that different degree. So that's where the comp system kind of helps. And again, when you look at cheese, it really depends on how people feel, how they want competitive, what do they feel as competition, and that's really how people feel is what the definition of cheese is. Do you feel cheese is someone that I don't like playing because I can't meet and face that level of competition or play, or you can actually, you're encouraged to face it and find something to play and beat it. Myself, being with this for a while, GW is a resource game. The more money you throw in it and spend and put into it, you will usually find an army that will be able to deal with everybody else. That's just the way it goes. It's been that way for the many years that I've done it for a while.
Although you did bring up a good point. Outdated codexes do sometimes make it difficult to play at current levels. Like the Eldar Codex is a big complaint around the shop right now. It is still a 4th edition codex.
I think so.
So the basic warrior, an elf that lives thousands of years, is still only ballistic skill 3, shoots as good as a guardsman, whereas their Dark Eldar counterpart that got a 5th edition codex, their warriors are ballistic skill 4, so they shoot at Space Marine capability. So, yeah, but they're the same elves, just in a different society.
Yeah, I think in point cost, you just look at their elements. That I think they're a little bit, maybe a point more to a Dark Eldar warrior, and yet the Dark Eldar warrior gets some better ballistics, like stat line skills, and then 2 extra abilities. It's got like Eagle's night vision, so never seeing the night fight, which is probably I found to be a lot more on the basic rules. You're going to deal with night fight most times. And the Dark Eldar warriors are avoiding it. So that's a nice bonus that they're getting into the Eldar.
Yeah. So Codex Creep is also an issue throughout the codexes, going back since we were covering basically 3 editions now, 4th, 5th, and 6th with the codexes that are currently written. So that's another thing that really kind of you see as well. The newer codexes are coming out with a little more power, a little more cost efficiency. And that's all really towards marketing, so the Games Workshop can get more models on the table, so more models are purchased, especially at the newer prices. Which, with the Dark Angels, a land speeder for $65 just seems a little over the top. And then, of course, their Storm Talon equivalent flyer is $75, whereas the Storm Talon's $45. So almost double the cost for the same vehicle with a different wing set. And a different gun on the front. But that's Games Workshop. It's happened that way on every edition, so nothing new there. We're players, it's plastic crack, we'll buy it, we'll smoke it, and we'll keep putting it on the table and buying more. So
they're doing something right.
Yeah, so it's all Games Workshop marketing, and we all bow to the pricing plan because we'll all pay it and keep playing.
Now, what's the feel as far as play or tournament wise, of setting up a game of trying to limit that, of saying that we're only setting pre-rules for everybody across the board.
Well, that's the composition score.
No, that's composition. Okay.
Like it might be the composition score might start at 80, and if you meet everything on the list, you get a bonus 80 points at the end of the tournament.
Okay.
But one of those things may be take 2 elite choices before you take 3 troop choices.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take 2 elite choices and don't have 3 troop choices, then you might have minus 10 points.
Oh, okay.
Or take an allied detachment, minus 20 points.
Yeah.
So you can knock your points down.
Or stop a guard player from having all these heavy slots chosen for Demon Russes and stuff like that. He's got to take some type of fast attack and elite before he can start building up from just nothing but heavy support. Because heavy support is usually one of those popular ones that, you know, whatever codex has the better part of it, you'll find something in it. And that's again, you'll just take nothing but these selections. So to try to even it out, you have to take 1 fast attack with heavy support.
So this is all new with the new codexes coming out of being able to.
It's what the communities have been doing, because communities have been like trying to just make it so, like I said, that it's privateer press. When they release a new rule, every faction is updated at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's really no faction that's...
Which is the way it should be. I mean, if you're going to give one group a revision, everybody should get the revision. So like you mentioned with the Eldar, just because one's wearing one color suit and the other's wearing a different color suit, they're still Eldar, so you know they shouldn't be penalized because, well, we haven't put out the new revision yet. We're just kind of dragging our feet on that one.
It kind of works for War Machine because it's a small company and there's really no large line of models. It doesn't work for Games Workshop because Games Workshop literally, when you're talking about a codex, is a ton of models that would be the same amount if War Machine put out, or Horse put out all their factions at the same time.
Yeah.
So you know you're talking like two models and maybe or 4 units. Just say like 4 different things that be added to one faction. So there's only like maybe 5, 10, so let's say 20 something odd units that you're looking at. Games Workshop's codex is almost introducing 8, 10 unit codexes, and they're still covering the 15 that already exist. So for them to do that for over a dozen armies, that means all their money's pulled in their 1 month quarterly that would do that. What are you going to do after that? That's just, the manpower is, yes, they have it, but the fact to do it in 1 frame is...
And it's still a business on top of everything.
It's still a business on top of it, so you got to put out what's fresh.
Out.
It's like a movie, you know, the next sequel, the next part. It's just, really the thing is that I find is their FAQ department, the rules learning, that used to be more accessible back in the day, because when you first introduced me into the Epic world, and I was actually running it at the shop, I would be able to get on the phone and call the rules trolls and say, hey, I got this problem, this new thing came out, it's contradicting what this thing is doing, what's the answer? And he would give me an answer on the phone that night while I'm playing it, so my players would have the ability to get the answer. Now I send an email out and I barely even get a response, and there's nothing in there, so you have to wait till they decide it out of the blue, like this last edition. Hey, here's the FAQ, we just did it, and sure enough, the Dark Angels just came out, and there's an FAQ on that too. There's a whole new section for that updated because like, oh, these are rules that are already having a problem. They don't extensively playtest it. They don't look at the other codexes, and I don't really think they're looking at the community who are doing things as we talk about cheese, going, well, this is what I want to make this effect happen, and we're gonna have this argument. And then they take forever to update instead of like, you know, you hear this is going on. We debated a lot of things where stuff wasn't happening right. The Necron Flyer, I think, went on for 3 months about, do the passengers take a strength 10 hit when it blows up or not? And we were debating that for 2 months, and then finally the FAQ comes out. That was the only thing they weighed at the same time. Okay, all the FAQs will be done at once, and that's what we're working. But we won't fix things that are just streaming around like, oh, we'll do here and that.
Games Workshop, if you need someone to play test, just saying.
Actually, that's how it works. I actually, when I play tested for the Witch Hunters Codex in the 4th edition, I just wrote an email. I figured out the Games Workshop naming convention for their emails, and just randomly threw out an email blindly to who the guy I thought his email address would be, saying I'd be interested in playtesting this codex that's coming out. And they said okay.
Nice.
But it was one of those, I knew the guy's name, and I looked at the way they built their email addresses, so I threw it out there.
Which way to go.
And got into it. So maybe we need to do a little more of that.
Well,
but they really didn't pay attention to any of the stuff that the community really offered for suggestions from it either. So when the new codex came out, it was completely different than what we were
Yeah.
what we play tested.
Well, you really want to be a part of it. Do what Mini Wargaming. There's a little shout out to you. Mapping out the Dark Potential. They're building up their gaming site, their rules. It's on the community. The rules are there. Play it. Figure out what's wrong. Put it on the forum site. He's there. He's correcting it. So all of a sudden you got it going pretty well.
So does that mean we're going to be picking up the Dark Potential and doing a battle report?
Yeah, I actually have. I was part of his Indigo thing, so I do have a starter box on its way at some point. So yeah, Spectre Studios will be doing Dark Potential down the road.
Just looking at a variety of games in all genre, which is basically what we're doing, from video games to role-playing games to tabletop games and everything. You can kind of see aspects of each flooding and just bleeding into the other games, and what you're explaining with the new Codex rules and everything. You know, one of the things that popped in my mind was kind of the card building games, Magic the Gathering, where it's, you know, so many people are like, oh, I want to focus on this one area, and then rules change a little bit, and then you start pulling in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it becomes a chess match of how can I get my army to be the best way. So let me get some psychic guys over here that'll beat you down mentally, and then after I do that, I've got my boss guys over here that are gonna shoot you and beat you down physically because they're gonna do more damage with the help of them. So it seems to be getting that aspect where, you know, the game is going beyond what you're doing on the table turn by turn, where you can spend countless hours pre-game just setting up your army that you think is going to run the table on a tournament, or even if it's just a single match. You know, you could put 3-4 hours just putting together the right mix of people to fit that 1,500 point match and go in there and do some damage. And then your opponent hopefully is doing the same thing, and he's doing, well, you know, if he comes in, last time I saw him, he had the Imperial Guard Psychic group, he has this again, I want to be able to combat that, so let me bring it in. So it does change the game in an aspect. It takes it beyond what you see at the shop of just playing the guy across from you. There's a lot of time that goes in the pre-gaming.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, especially in the gaming community. I mean, like, we play crossword games, so it's the same group every Wednesday night for the most part. You know how people play, you know how people put things together, so you're thinking as you're building your list
right.
what you might run into, especially in a situation like what we've got coming up with the Crusade of Fire campaign.
Yep.
They're actually running a planned campaign where there's going to be some maps and some strategy on picking who your opponent's based on where you want to go on the map and who's controlling that territory. And so there's going to be more of that, especially in that type of scenario. But again, it's a community, so you're really dealing with people that you play with on a regular basis, so you kind of get to know their style and what they're doing. And of course, same thing goes with them. They know how you play,
Right.
how you put it together. So there is a lot of time that you just sit down at the table and wonder, is this combination going to do it, or nope, he's going to know that one on, scrap it right off the table. So,
Or those that are building new armies. I mean, I'm at the shop and there's some talk. You know, people are starting to change gears. New armies, of course, the new codex come out. You know, we're seeing the Dark Angels now coming a little bit more force. They were rare before.
And I gotta say, you guys are making it easier yourself with the advent of YouTube and videos and what you're doing with the bat reps, what you see with, you mentioned Mini Wargaming with their bat reps. You get into the point, you know, dare if I may compare this to a sport like football, where, you know, now people can go back and, you know what, oh, I'm going to go play Spectre Senence tomorrow in a 1,500 point game. Let me go check out a couple of his old bat reps and get his gaming style and how he usually plays, or what was his last 2 or 3 army setups. And if they're pretty similar, then more than likely the one I'm facing tomorrow is going to be that way.
stop giving out our secrets. What are you talking about?
It's already there.
It's already there. It's a strategy, you know. It's
You want to know what models I have? They're on Army Intro. all the Spectre stuff is pretty much out there for a lot of the stuff, except for things we have on the back burner being painted. But yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest, that's really what got me into YouTube. As I myself personally was like, I was watching a lot. Again, a couple of plugs to the places I was seeing. But I do remember, it's a funny story, a part of it, ran into a guy at a tournament who was on part of the help blog site. He does a lot of blogging and helping too, and he's like, gee, well, we're all limited, we're all fathers here, which you've seen the little Spectres running around, and he's like, I don't have a chance to play a lot. I'm like, well, I'm in the same boat, you know, we do show up on Wednesday, we get a chance, but now I'm producing for a lot more here, so I don't always get as many games as I want in as well. So he's like, yeah, I ran into this army, the Necrons, and I never seen them. I didn't know what to do. I ran into the tournament, I couldn't do anything. I was like, really? I was like, when I ran into the Necrons, I knew exactly kind of what to do because I found a lot of bat reps that the guy that was watching, Matt, who's getting into it, was nothing but Necrons. So I watched a lot of it. So I knew a lot of the little tricks, the reanimations, how to kind of avoid all that stuff because of watching these bat reps. And there's a reason why we do our bat rep, our style. We want to let you see what happened, how lucky the roll happened, or exactly, if this unit is that effective. I think the assault phase is pretty straightforward, usually kind of confusing, so we didn't really want to get too much into that, but that's what we do. We show you was there some lucky rolls involved, or was there this unit that effective when it comes into shooting? You start seeing it racking its kills up. You need to look out. I mean, I have a number of units that have been showcased on that you have to be wary of.
Well, the other side of that too, and something that Rico kind of brought up in tangent, is that when we started playing back in the 90s, people just bought models to buy models, to see how they worked on the table, to have them in your collection. The prices weren't that bad then compared to the cost of living, so you were able to kind of really just branch out in different directions and see what worked. Nowadays, with the prices the way they are, with the economy the way it is, people are buying specifically what they want to play on the table and are pre-planning their combinations. So these bat reps are a chance to really see what works for other people, get an idea how things work before you even buy a model to put it on the table. Now people are just building specifically to their army to get the most efficiency out.
It's not easy to buy, let me get a couple of Dark Angels, let me get a couple of Eldar, a couple of, just pick and choose. And it is difficult. I mean, if you have that ability, good on you, and build up your armies, but you do see a lot more specific of, just one single person focusing all their time and energy in one area. And,
Yep. So that's what we're trying to help you do, is see what armies work, see what armies don't, see what armies really intrigue you, and see how those armies play on the table so you can get an idea of what you want to do with them before you start buying, so that you really just get what you want. These new additions, these new codexes, the current game style, really just, you want to plan your stuff out before you really put it on the table and know what it's going to do. So it's really not a hit and miss trial and error thing anymore. People are really just building specifically to play exactly what they want to play.
And Spectre Patriot, our resident Dark Angel guy, has just got the new codex. He'll be perusing everything, and we'll have a review for next month Spectre for what he thinks works and what has improved for that army.
Yep. Long-term Dark Angels player, almost 12 years of play in that codex. So seeing the new codex will really get his opinions on what he thinks are different, what he thinks will really work, and what things really kind of changed the way his army build has gone. So.
And we'll get some other players that I know are building some Dark Angels and challenge them to get their stuff painted so we can get some bat reps in on them as well.
All right. So that is on the comm for this episode of Mind of the Spectre.
We're in the drop zone!
Spectre Senence is just left here to go over in the drop zone. So I'm here left to basically let you know what is coming up for Spectre Studio. Spectre Studio has a couple of new episodes that are up and coming. Spectre FedSen joined us earlier in this episode to basically showcase what he's got in fragging the game. So episode 1 of that video is already up on our channel. So go check that out as he reviews Walking Dead. And he's let me know he's got a couple of ideas what he's going to review. He's looking into what the popular games are going on or something he's actually has accomplished. So check that out. It's really good. He's really on the Xbox know-how. So he's doing pretty well at playing games and knowing what to basically do for that. And he's going to do a lot of Battlefield 3 part pieces to that part. So you should be able to see some good, fun kills, things that are going on crazy on the battlefield. So we hope to entertain you with that aspect. Spectre Ames is bringing us under the brush. So that episode is also already on the channel. And he's going to start showcasing some of his ability to paint, a lot of his skill sets that really showcase a lot of his models. I've been a gamer next to him for a long time, and every model he's brought out for an in-game has been fantastic. So if you really want to check out his stuff, we're going to try to push him to get some awards to basically legitimize how very good he is, and hope you guys can learn some good techniques out of him. Those should be coming up about once or twice a month if everything possible goes right. I'm also going to announce that Spectre Studios is now officially on Facebook. And here's a link below to find us on Facebook, so you can join us, like us, and we'll let you know kind of what's going on with that. Show some of the activity. Right now, a lot of it will be going on what's going on with the YouTube videos, but if there's some other things that we stretch out into, Spectre FedSen's been working on some things as well on his own, so we could have a little bit more extra little tie-ins, plus some community events, what's going on with us. We'll see what we can work into a lot of things to keep you guys informed and involved with what's happening with Spectre Studio. So that's pretty much what a lot of the things we got going on. We really want to showcase a lot that's been happening. We have a few other bat rep ideas that we want to do. You've seen us make a big push for Privateer Press, War Machine, and Hordes. We want to show you a little bit of the gaming battles of that. We're looking at weird miniatures for Malifaux pretty soon. That has still been on the horizon, and there is an opportunity. I've heard the Dark Potential has sent out their figs for their game. That's Mini Wargaming's game that was created over there. So hopefully I'll have mine, do an unboxing on that, showcase what we've got, and maybe some painted models to that aspect, and then get you in some battle reports as I get a couple of other Spectres involved in that. And then we want to revisit a couple other games that we've done, like X-Wing. There's some bigger aspect games we want to work with that. So there's a lot of bat reps still coming up. Let us know what you want to see. If there's an army you want to see, comment below. I can't tell you how much to get people to subscribe to us, and comment below, and it'll give us a direction of where you guys want to see and want more out of us, so to speak. Because without you guys, we're not really doing this for, we're having a good time of fun, but we really do want to entertain you guys as much as possible. And I can kind of showcase to the other Spectres to show how much you guys want to see any certain race, any certain faction, any certain game. And if you want to see a certain Spectre take on another Spectre, or you want to see more of another Spectre, let us know. Again, comment below. It really does help build this channel to what we can involve for you guys. So hope you enjoyed watching Mind of the Spectre. We're really going to try to get some news into you. And one last thing, I am going to be doing interviews with Dave Brewer over at Crossroad Games. That's where we go to get our stuff and support our local store. We can't really emphasize how much to support your local store is important. Online purchasing is great, not going to take away from a lot of things when you're looking for that certain special thing, but if you want to find games and people to game with, you got to support your local store. And we do enjoy going over to Crossroad Games, getting the players over there. When I bring them into my bat reps, I really enjoy it, and I really want to make sure that you guys really have an opportunity to join us on the Spectre Studio to play us. And so try to check that out. But again, Dave Brewer is going to be giving us the rundown of some information that should be coming up for the Crossroad Games in the next month. So we'll have a good interview segment with that. So these are things to look forward to on Mind of the Spectre. Again, thank you for watching, and subscribe, comment below, and find us on Facebook. Like us, and let everyone know that we're here to entertain everybody.